Every single year, we come across headlines like these.
North Korea has threatened to strike South Korea.
And North Korea threatens to launch an all-out offensive against the U.S. and South Korea.
North Korea has fired 2 short-range ballistic missiles weeks after declaring its 3-month pause.
Hey guys, how's it going? In our very first story, we'll be answering some very important questions today. Like, why there are 2 Koreas, North Korea and South Korea? And what is the reason for their shared hostility? And why United States and North Korea keep threatening each other back and forth? So if you stay with me for the next 10 minutes, we'll have answers to all these questions. So put your seatbelts on. We are going back in history. Japanese occupation. So first things first, Korea was occupied by the then Japanese Empire in the first decade of the 1900s. The quest for freedom from the Japanese occupation was led primarily by 2 political groups in Korea, the Communists and the Anti-Communists. While the Communists engaged in guerrilla warfare with the Japanese, the Anti-Communist faction relied on diplomatic support from Western powers for their freedom struggle. Let's first talk about the Communists. The leader of the Communist faction was Kim Il-sung. It's interesting and important to note that Kim Il-sung is the grandfather of the current North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Kim Il-sung was born in Korea, but he was trained in the Soviet Union as a captain in the Soviet Red Army during the World War II. He also fought the Chinese Civil War alongside the Chinese Communist Party or the CCP, a bloody war which the CCP won and is currently ruling China. So that goes without saying that Kim Il-sung had solid backing from both China and the Soviet Union. Now coming to the anti-communist faction, their most prominent leader was Syngman Rhee. Syngman Rhee had served as the first president of a provisional government of Korea based in China during the Japanese occupation of Korea. He received education in the US and worked as a lobbyist there, representing the Korean interests in the Western world. End of World War. So the Japanese occupation in Korea lasted till the end of the World War in 1945. After Germany surrendered in 1945, Japan was the only major power left from the Axis forces side. To force the Japanese to surrender, the United States dropped 2 atom bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. A defeat for Japan became imminent. And to make things worse for Japan, the Soviets entered the World War on the side of the United States. American-Soviet partnership. Starting from the north of Korea, the Soviet attack swiftly swept towards the south, while the American forces liberated south and moved northwards. The 2 allies met at the 30th parallel, which were decided as the dividing line between the Soviet and the American occupied territories. The Soviets took the communist stronghold of north, while the Americans took the anti-communist south. We'll see very soon. This partnership was short-lived. The Soviet and the American presence in Korea were designed to be a temporary arrangement till such time where the Koreans could govern themselves. Start of Cold War. So Korea was the starting place for a very long Cold War between the Americans and the Soviets, where both sides vied for allies and engaged in proxy wars throughout the world. Due to the Cold War, the negotiations between the Soviets and the USA to elect a Korean government for the unified Korea failed miserably due to their own vested interests. In 1948, through the United Nations, the United States pushed for a national election for the unified Korea, which the Soviets rejected. The Soviets feared that the region might fall in the United States' lap. Both the powers wanted Korea under their own sphere of influence, where they could administer the region through their hand-picked Korean governments. While the United States wanted its presence in Korea overlooking the communist countries of the Soviet and China, the Soviets were concerned about the presence of a Western power at their borders. So due to the Soviet apprehensions, the elections were held only in South Korea, where Syngman Rhee emerged as the winner. Subsequently, with support from the United States, Syngman Rhee declared the formation of Republic of Korea, with its capital at Seoul, claiming jurisdiction over the entire Korea. In a retaliatory action, Kim Il-sung, with support from the Soviets and China, declared Democratic People's Republic of Korea or DPRK with its capital at Pyongyang, also claiming jurisdiction over the entire Korea. In the face of these claims and counterclaims, the dividing line between North and South Korea became the epicenter of border skirmishes every now and then. Moreover, there were multiple points of differences between the North and South Korean regional governments. Apart from having different ideologies, Kim Il-sung also denounced the continuation of imperialism-era Japanese officials in the South Korean government. After World War II, the relations between Japan and the United States improved drastically, and so these Japanese officials were allowed by the Americans to continue occupying top government positions in the South Korean government. So the North Korean and South Korean regional governments were not exactly on the same page regarding various policies. Now both the sides were itching to go into a war, since it was seen as the only option left to help them reunify Korea under their own leadership. The communists were battle-hard and battle-ready, from fighting the Chinese Civil War and guerrilla war against the Japanese. Korea War. Anticipating an easy victory, and with the desire to reunify Korea under the communist umbrella, the communists drew the first blood. After getting a go-ahead from the Soviets, North Korea invaded South Korea on June 25, 1950. The war raged for 3 long years, and Korea became a battleground for the Koreans, the United States, the Soviets, and the Chinese. Now, what do you think? Why do we have a divided Korea today? Was it because of the Soviets and the Americans dividing Korea in 2 occupational zones and their failure to reunify them later? Or do you think that there were enough differences between the political groups in Korea that there would have been a civil war eventually anyways? Share your thoughts in the comment section and we'll discuss it there. If you like this short story, hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, hit the subscribe button with the bell icon to stay informed about the international politics and history. I'll see you with another very interesting short story from the pages of history in our next video. Till then, take care.